Welcome to the One More Rep podcast, where we take it beyond the barbell. I'm your host, Modingo, and with me with a tall can of, thank you for bringing it closer so I can read it.
It's huge letters.
Barn Phantom Ghost Raspberry. I took a trip to Indiana. Well, I took several trips to Indiana this past couple of weeks, and I stopped by a liquor store that I usually hit up looking for the infamous Blanton's and decided I'd take a look at the local offerings. This one's from Triton Brewery. And so tell us about it, bro. How is it?
Well, it's a sour, which I like sours in the summer.
Yeah.
And it's a raspberry. So raspberries are always sour.
Mm.
It's pretty legit. I kind of like it. So I'm a happy guy.
Is it one of those ones you can drink too many of because it tastes a little...
I mean, it's only like a 4%, so you could drink these all day unless you're Mo.
I could have like one a week.
Yeah, Mo drinks one and he's tipsy. So I got him on a pitch count up here. He's on a Pilsner right now, so that's about as low as you can go without it being NA.
I'm drinking some Platform New Cleveland. It is a Pilsner. Tastes pretty good.
It's like a beefed up Miller Lite.
But like bro said, I got to keep my pitch count low. So we are on Spotify now. I've been seeing a lot of traffic from there. They keep separate numbers, but we're averaging, well, we've only been on there for 2 weeks, and we're about close to 250 downloads. So,
oh, that's cool.
For those of you listening on Spotify, we really appreciate it. And we actually got a message from someone from Australia, Paul, I'm going to butcher this, Cormandel from Australia. And he gave us a 5-star review and shot a message back to him. So we really appreciate for him to leave that. And he just listened to, I think, 1 or 2 episodes before he fired off a message. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Mo, he really has one job, but he does multiple jobs. And he's been trying to get on Spotify for a bit, and this guy actually listened to us on Spotify.
Yeah, he said he just typed in CrossFit in the search thing, and he said this popped up, and he listened to it. Yeah,
it popped up first and saying we were like the best podcast for CrossFit. I don't know. It was a long story, but no, he left a pretty cool review, and that he just started CrossFitting, mm-hmm. and of course it's cool to get something from all the way across the other side of the world,
literally,
right? And he just started CrossFitting, and he listens to our stuff to try to get him kind of motivated going to the gym in the morning, which mm-hmm. is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for the message.
And the review.
And yeah, we need to hit him up. Maybe we can get some shirts from his box. That would be pretty cool.
Down under.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And try to get your peeps onto our show.
Oh
too.
yeah, absolutely. That would be cool. All right.
And send us a kangaroo if you can. That'd be sweet. Have a gym kangaroo. Like, who needs a dog?
Who needs a dog when you have a kangaroo?
Yeah. Right?
Nobody else in Ohio has a kangaroo.
No other gym.
All right,
has a
hook
kangaroo.
us up. So this week's episode, we're going to talk about the reality behind online programming. So,
dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Things we're going to talk about are, what are online programs? Do they work? Is this a good option for you? And the products of these online programs. So when we talk about online programs, when Bro first brought this to me, I got a little bit confused. I thought we were talking specifically about like, hey, you athlete individual want to get these results, sign up for my one-on-one online programming. But we're talking in more of a broader context. So where were you coming from, bro?
I mean, your top two is Misfits and Cop Train right now, mm-hmm. right? It used to be Hyperfit as well. There's Street Park out there as well. But the top two is Comp Train and Misfits, mm-hmm. right? So when everybody thinks about online programming, that's what they think about, right? Mm-hmm. And I was actually just talking this with Sebastian yesterday, and Misfits really came on the scene hard the last couple years and whatever, and they do a really good job of marketing. And Misfits athlete, you get the mm-hmm. purple shirt, you see it, and then they had some people who follow the programming go to regionals and do really well as mm-hmm. well. And then Comp Train really started just coming on strong. Ben Bergeron's been around for a bit, obviously, but he just started his whole online, I think, about a year ago, mm-hmm. And he started producing. It's free, mm-hmm. First off, and he started producing more and more of this programming that people are following.
And it's actually tailored to different groups of people too, because there's a masters one. There's
right.
and I'm not sure if it's teens or kids.
Yeah, they have teens.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be your CrossFit teenagers. Mm-hmm. They have your masters, and then your general, and then they do stuff for regionals and stuff. I think the biggest thing that separates those is if you want to, let's say you make regionals through Misfits, you pay about, I think it's $450 for 6 weeks of programming for regional programming once you make it. So that's on top of what you've already paid all year, and then you pay another $450 to get the template that all the other regional competitors are following.
So why would there be a difference between the general programming and the regional programming?
Because they've seen what the workouts are. They're going to start to tailor those workouts towards what's in regionals after they find out what the workouts are, and prior to, they're going to probably introduce some previous regional workouts and stuff that typically appears in regionals.
Okay, so rolling it back a little bit with the Open, one of the characters that you've identified as a requirement is what?
High capacity.
High capacity,
right,
okay.
Over a very short time.
Because with the Open, we don't know what's coming until it gets dropped.
Right.
That Thursday night. Now, we can expect
certain movements.
Certain movements. There's certain things that we're not going to have in there, so we don't need to worry about.
That we think of now.
Yeah,
now you might.
Well, I mean, but we're not, running a mile, rope climbs. There's like a handful of things.
Oh, dude, if Castro put in assault runners into CrossFit, mic drop.
Yeah.
Everybody would stop. They would drop their affiliate because they're not buying $3,000 runners.
Yeah, because I mean, more than likely we'll probably see bikes here in the near future because everybody freaked out when we had rowers for the first time a few years ago, and now rowers have just become an everyday thing and an expectation. So then we move to regionals, and what's one of the characteristics you identify that's a requirement to be successful in regionals?
Well, now you have to be really well-rounded. It used to be you had to be really strong.
Yeah.
And they got away from that probably about 3 to 4 years ago. You'd go to regionals and you'd be like, man, this is going to be heavy. It's really not that heavy anymore. It's, I think it's, when you tailor to one aspect, you're going to get that type of athlete that makes it through qualifications. And if you tailor it towards how the Open is, the Open just now started really mixing some heavier loads in than they previously have. And it's very diverse workouts now since they have a RX and a scaled option. So you're getting better athletes that go through the Open, that go in the regionals, that are more well-rounded than a really like a bodyweight ninja making it through the Open and then going into regionals where it's super heavy and then they really can't hang. So
and then moving on to if you make it to the CrossFit Games,
right?
It's basically good luck because they'll throw anything at you.
You gotta start swimming. It's you gotta swim, and especially even if you're a teenager now. When we went, they didn't have swimming for the teens, but it was same workload, 3 days. But you have to be ready for anything. When we did our training here, when Alina went, when we did 13 weeks, and it was everything I can imagine with every type of combination I can imagine. 3 times a day, 6 days a week is what her sessions were leading up to games. Even
above and beyond that, they have implements that you might not even have access to.
Right. It's so you can't train that.
You can't train to work the banger.
No,
you can't. Who has access to a worm or what was it, Fat Bob or what was? Oh no, the pig. The pig. That big thing they had to flip, like a refrigerator they had to flip over.
Well, it doesn't matter. Honestly, if you're going to games, you're going to be prepared for it. It's just a matter of if you have a hole in your training, like you don't deadlift a lot, you don't do a lot of accessory work on the lower back and things like that from reverse hypers and GHD stuff, that the pig is going to annihilate you. So you train the components that you are weak at, and then you go there and hopefully those workouts kind of fall into your favor and that you've done all the preparation that you can for that.
And I think we can argue that athletes that make it that far into it have a certain skill set that will probably
get tested.
Yep.
And they'll be ready. I mean, once you go to games, in all honesty, it's about who can go in the freshest, because most people have some sort of small injury going in. You cannot train to the level needed to perform at the games or at regionals with being 100%. It's impossible, because if you don't walk that line of, you're training to the point where you could possibly become injured, you're not training hard enough. Because if you train under that, and you're 100% going in, you probably have not trained enough.
Might not be strong enough.
Strong enough, or you just haven't put in enough work. So it's that really. I was talking to my buddy Zach about this. It's a fine line of training too much but not enough, and it really is. It's like cutting a hair on that, because the capacity needs to be very high, but also you get their strength way up. And when it's hard to get great conditioning and be really strong. It's a give and take.
It's a very delicate balance.
It is. Yep. And you got to get your programming has to be on point.
So looking at these online offerings, I think a simple question we can ask: do they work?
Yeah, I mean,
and that is a very broad question.
Very broad, and we put it up on our Instagram, and it wasn't by a large margin, but most people said yes, it works. And I put no, it doesn't, but I have a deeper root to why I said what I did. But yes, it does work. I think programming works in general if there's structure. There has to be structure. So between Misfits and Bergeron stuff, CompTrain's, in my opinion, 10 times better. When I worked with Emma with her Olympic lifting and stuff, she was on Misfits, and I've seen their templates. I've seen the work up through the open. I've seen the regional templates. And I just don't like it. I don't like I don't like how they attack the programming. I don't like what they did. I've seen Bergeron stuff, and it's very similar to what we do. And I'm not just liking his stuff because it's similar to what we do, but
training philosophy.
Yeah, it is. It's a good philosophy. It works. I know he has someone that programs all of his Olympic lifting strength. He doesn't do that. He just really does the Metcon aspect of it.
When you say you looked at some of the Misfit stuff, what were some of the things that you saw that you didn't necessarily value as much as you did with some of the stuff from CompTrain?
There was not a lot of Olympic lifting strength. So in Emma's case, that's where she hit a roadblock, right? She would first year she went to regionals, she didn't make it out of the first workout because you have minimum work you have to do, and that was
a snatch, I believe.
Yep, it was a snatch, 135-pound snatch. And you got to understand she's only 135 pounds or less, 130 pounds. But and she got, I think, 8th this year at regionals. But Olympic lifting was an issue. She had competed at our gym once and followed mine and Alina's progress, and kind of just got hooked up. And I started working with her literally like 4 or 5 weeks before regionals a couple years ago.
Yeah, I remember it wasn't a very wide window.
No, it wasn't, and we definitely made some improvement. But it was like throwing a dart. You can only make so much improvement because you're asking her to make her max lift in front of everybody, and she's only made that lift once ever, and it was horribly sloppy. So the chances weren't good. That was when it was still here in Columbus. I think that was a hole. And then going into the second year, spent more time together. Definitely got that her Olympic lifting way better. And of course, snatch wasn't in. There was no Olympic lifting. It was all dumbbells. Last year it was all dumbbell work, which is okay. But she was prepared for it. But I would say that's the biggest fault I see in Misfits is there's not a lot of strength training for the Olympic stuff. And even if there is, if you suck at it, you suck at it because you have no one to correct you. You're just doing it. So if your snatch sucks and you're snatching, your snatch still sucks. It doesn't matter if you're snatching or not.
You might be seeing some improvement, but if you're just improving on you're just improving on something that you still suck at.
Right. You still suck at it. It's like, I'm going to go practice really bad technique on my Olympic lifts, and I'm still going to be really bad when I'm done. It's like, you have to have a coach for that. And that's kind of where we hooked up. I really helped her out with that. We worked a lot on her mental game, get her to believe in herself and what she could achieve and things like that. And, I'd say that's the fault. At least Bergeron has designed programming to progress you along strength-wise, but nothing beats hands-on training. It just doesn't. I don't care.
Is this the best option for anyone trying to get to that level of regionals or games competitor?
No, definitely not the best option. Your best option is having a coach inside your facility that sees you, knows everything about you and your tendencies, strengths and weaknesses, because they're going to be honest. And
you can see it.
And you see it, but you can also have hands-on. And then you can, when you hit the additional programming and stuff, you can see, where they're slacking or sucking at, right? And, Jenna, she's not very good at strict handstand push-ups, so it's a goal to have her get better at that, and because that's just the way it is. And, then you can see strict muscle ups, or you could see endurance or strength or whatever it may be. You see that every day, and then you can tailor everything around them to make them better at what they suck at.
Are there any other options available?
We just talked about it. Yeah. So if you don't have the option of doing your in-house programming, because not every gym programs in-house, they buy it, right? So let's say they do that. What you need to do is find a coach. You have to find a coach. That's just the way it is. I don't care what people say. You go to regionals and you go in the back, and all the athletes back there, they have coaches. All of them have a coach.
There's no athletes sitting back there by themselves.
But it didn't used to be that way. Okay, it didn't used to be that way. It used to be like, I don't need a coach. My talent is good enough.
There was a time when that was a true statement.
Yeah, very true statement. Then when people start getting coaches and they get better, and they're not maybe necessarily as good of an athlete as those others, but their scores are better because game plan, mentality, the coach that is pushing them to their limits and believing in them, which is huge, There's another conversation I had. Just having a coach to reinforce the mental state the athletes or high-level athletes are in, to kind of get them out of their own head. It just happened today with Jenna just running, trying to get them to just literally get the hell out of their own way and let their body perform what it's ready for.
And I think this goes back to that video clip you posted with Venus Williams, I think it goes back
Serena.
to that video that you posted with Serena Williams and her coach. And if you could just kind of briefly sum that up.
Yeah. So Serena, she just started motherhood, just had a baby, starting the whole family life, and she took some time off of tennis, like any elite athlete. She's ready to go again, and she's ready to start being competitive again. So a normal conversation, and I thought it was unique because the conversation that HBO, I think it was HBO or Showtime, I can't remember, the conversation they covered is almost no one gets to see that stuff. They don't get to see the behind the scenes real talk like we see it on that one. So she's saying that she was ready, and she felt that she could have won a certain tournament that she played. Her coach sees the whole picture. He says, do you really think you could have? And she's like, yeah, I think I could have. And he's like, well, I don't know. And
then she kind of backpedals, and she's like, well, I couldn't get out of my head that I had to play my sister.
Yeah, I had to play. And he said, I had to play her. You've played her 1,000 times. Yeah. What's that matter? Right? So there's that instant back and forth of she was in her head. She had to play her sister to win the tournament, and she didn't. She didn't win. She couldn't get out of the fact that she had to play against her sister. She's beat her sister I don't know how many times. She's the better athlete. She's the younger athlete. She's the better athlete, which tends to happen in family. But my portion I liked was she felt that she was ready to start playing tournaments again. And the coach says, what you feel and what I see is different. And that's just the way it is. Yeah. That quote right there is how coaching is. You may feel a certain way. You may feel you're good to go, right? Or you may feel like you're not good to go. The coach will always trump you, and a good coach will bitch slap you. Like,
and
literally.
Have that confrontation.
It is. It's like, look, smack him over the head. Yes, you're ready, or no, you're not ready. And he said, no, you're not ready, and proceeded to tell her everything.
Why she wasn't ready.
And she just was dumbfounded. She can't say, what can she say? She knows it. And he even said before he even said that, he says, I know that you know, I just don't know how you don't know. And because it's what he sees. And that's what a good coach does. A good coach has a bird's-eye view of the athlete and of their programming, their training and such. And the athlete is down on the ground, eye level to the floor. And
they're in the moment.
They're in the moment. They're in the middle of it. They're going through the outside drama. They may not be at a level they're used to. They know that their training's off. They know that their speed's off, especially for her. And that's what's cool about having that coach. So if you don't have that, seek a coach out, right? If you don't have the programming and you have to buy programming, right? Because you have no other choice,
recourse. Yeah.
Make sure you find a coach that's local if possible, because there's not a ton of great coaches. Find someone that's local so they can get hands on you. Okay. Because even if you buy programming, right? If Mo bought programming, he said, hey bro, this is my programming. I want to make improvements, right? I'll look at this and I can sit there and I can look at the programming and say, okay, you want to use this? Mine's better. I'm just saying, because it is, because I can tailor. I know Mo. Right.
It's a 20-minute drive for me to come have you tell me that I need to work on shit.
Yeah, and true. But if Mo's dead set on this, right? This is what I want to do. All right. I just need a coach. Got you. I can tailor it, be like, all right, this first section, let's touch on that, but we need to focus more on this other stuff, and maybe we'll decrease or increase certain elements for you that you need specifically. Okay. So yeah, I'm making you happy so you don't jump off a cliff because you think this is what's going to get you to regionals when it's not. And 2, I'm getting it tailored to you so I can fix what you really suck at, because what Misfits and CompTrain program for everybody across the entire world that uses it, it's broad. It's just general fitness. It's not specific to the individual.
Now, when you just made the comment about having someone that can be hands-on, but I think some people out there will make the argument, well, can I just send you videos?
Yeah, you can. That's how Emma and I started. She would start sending videos because she's about a 3-hour drive from the gym here in Kentucky. So she started with videos, I used Coach's Eye. I'd get the videos, review them, do all my little circles, get in a slow-mo, make my video commentary. She'd send me a 45-second video, and we get back a 9-minute correction, right? And we did this for a while. Then we would start to meet up. So we made progression that way, just stuff that she could work on in between, whatever, leading up to regionals that first year. And then when we got hands-on, it's just a game changer. She came up here. She spent 2 days. She stayed with Jen overnight, so she made the most out of it. And then I would travel down there, and then I contacted Matt Plapp, owner of the tracks, and we just meet there because it's that hour and a half drive for each of us. Hands-on, no questions asked. It's not even comparable. She improved 10 times faster hands-on than she did through the videos. Yeah, so you can. If that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But totally recommend. Find someone you trust, someone that you believe in that has a good reputation as a coach. Seek them out. Hit them up.
Now, do these programs produce elite athletes, or are these athletes already elite? And then now that they have some structure, is that what's taking them over the edge?
Right, and this is exactly what I'm getting at when I said, no, it doesn't work. These are elite athletes that are going, and I'm saying elite, they're going to regionals, pushing for games. They're on the CompTrain or Misfits programming. I can't freaking stand this. I can't stand.
Well, back in the day, like we were saying, you could train hard and you could have certain gifts and you could make it to regionals.
Right.
And the reason why I can say this, because I remember going to regionals one time in San Antonio when the South was there. And I clearly remember the announcer saying, Larry Moss, he said, oh, this is so-and-so from Dallas, Texas, and she just got her first muscle up.
Right.
And I was like, what? How'd you make it to regionals?
Right.
Well, there's no muscle ups. There's no ring muscle ups in the open back then.
Yep.
So fast forward to 2018, where I don't think things like that are going to happen anymore.
I mean, it just happened. I actually kind of called it out. There was two girls, when it came to handstand walk portion, it was muscle up handstand walk. They sit that in
the 2018 regionals.
Currently, yeah, it was the Central Division. They were sitting there at the first
heat.
Not the first heat, but it was the first platform.
The obstacle.
Like the steps, the obstacle. They were kicking up and they couldn't even walk 2 feet on their hands. So I'm like, well, how the hell did they make it through the open? How can you make it through the open? Because if you didn't make those
10 feet.
It was 5 foot increments for 20 or 20 feet, 25 feet. Okay. So it's 50 feet total down and back. If you couldn't make it past that first handstand, your ranking was like 300 plus. There's no way you hit a 300 and then still make regionals. That's a whole nother topic because I still think the open is broken. What I'm going to get back to is it infuriates me when an athlete does well at regionals, okay? And then all of a sudden they are a CompTrain athlete. They are a misfit athlete. Misfit and comp train had nothing to do with them the entire year that they were training. They were using their programming, but now all of a sudden they are their athlete. Well, why are they their athlete? They think that they got them there, and that blows my mind. No, who got them there was them. Okay, they're already a good athlete. All right, maybe the programming it works, but they could have been on any structured programming and made regionals, as long as it was legitimate programming. You can't have some half-assed stuff, okay? The programming does not make elite athletes. It just doesn't happen.
You have to have, in my opinion, and I'm using my experience with, coaching high-level girls volleyball when I was in Texas. Was a pretty decent baseball player myself when I was younger. And seeing all that in front of me, and even now with my son playing Division III football, there are certain things that you just have to be born with in order to succeed at certain levels of athletics.
Absolutely. And I think once these athletes that are good have structure for the first time in their life, so let's say they come from a gym like we talked about that doesn't program on their own, or they do and they just don't know what they're doing, and they don't have some really good coaches, but they're a great athlete. Those are the ones who usually seek out this type of program because they know that they
need
can
to
be
augment.
better. Yeah, because they know what they're getting is not enough. Maybe you go to a gym and it's body weight friendly, but they don't ever move loads. Well, you can't do that.
Or like we said in a recent episode, they don't even snatch.
Right, don't even snatch, right? So they seek these out, and all of a sudden they're accelerating through the open, and their numbers are going through the roof because they finally have a structured strength. They finally have a structured strength. They finally have a structured Olympic program. They finally have all this structure, and of course they're going to blossom. But don't be so dumb and sit here and try to take the credit away from everybody else, because that's exactly what happened. Because we had Amanda Barnhart she's actually down the road here at Centerville CrossFit. She made regionals this is her third straight year. Last year she finished 22nd. Right? This year she finishes third with 3 first-place finishes in the last 3 workouts in the Central.
And she was the top-rated female athlete in Ohio, correct?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. Right? And so she blew past McCheater, Brooke Wells. And
you're not going to get unblocked, dude.
That's what I'm working on it. And so she wins the last 3 events, qualifies for games. Mitch is her coach. I've known Mitch for a long time. Solid coach. He cares about his athletes, does everything he can to make them better. And she wrote this really nice Instagram thanking.
I read that. That was pretty. That was dope.
Right. It was like, thank you to the fans, the judges, blah blah blah. Thank you to CompTrain for solid programming. Thank you to my best friend and coach Mitch for dialing my nutrition and spending more hours with me than I can imagine, and believing in me when no one else did. She thanked her family and all this, and her husband. And what's CompTrain do? They take and repost what she put with the same picture, but cut everything else out except for her what she said about CompTrain. And I'm like, you assholes. You're going to sit here and shit on Mitch and her husband and the support staff, which if you're not a high-level athlete, you don't understand what that support staff actually does for you. It allows you to vent. It gives you something to disconnect to. You have to have this. You have to have that in your life at that point.
Otherwise, you'll go crazy.
You'll go crazy because it's training and failing and failing and failing and failing and failing, and you suck at it, and then you're doing that for months.
And when you're that aggressive about your training, you fail to see your success.
Exactly.
All you see is what you didn't do.
Yeah.
And having those people around you like, dude, you're crushing it.
Even when you succeed, in your mind you fail. And that's the hard part with a lot of these top level competitors is no matter how good they do, they think they could do better. Well, there's a point in time where you have to say, shut the hell up. You did great. Can we improve on something small? Yes. But be happy with the results. But for them to sit there and take away the credit of all the hours and all the conversations like Serena and her coach was having, and all the things that that Mitch had done for her, and in my opinion, watching from last year to this year when I was there in Nashville, it was her diet. I mean, she's dropped.
That was the game changer?
In my opinion. Yeah. I think, of course, your training is going to get better, but I honestly believe her overall fitness improved because her diet was heavily improved. You can definitely tell
physically looking at her.
You can physically look at her, and I can see the difference from last year to this year. And she's not even my athlete, not including what you build on confidence wise, being your third year in the regionals. She finished around the same in the Open, I believe, last year. She did pretty well, but she definitely accelerated herself at regionals and crushed it, and actually overcame a pretty bad WOD 3, event 3, where she knew she was going to finish bad, but she finished like 20 something, I think. And then she went on to win the last 3. Whereas if she didn't bomb that one, but she knew she she would have won the Central Regional. But I messaged Mitch and I was like, I thought it was really cool that she didn't lose her composure, and that shows you how well she was coached too. She goes there, does well on event 1 and 2, sitting pretty good. Event 3, you're going to do bad, but that bad, you don't know. To be able to come back and rebound mentally and win the next 3 is pretty huge. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you got to work with some higher end athletes, because they are their biggest critics. They are their biggest the roadblock is when they fail, and even if it's small, they will stand in front of themselves until they die, and it keeps them from progressing. And it would have kept her from going to games if Mitch didn't have her coached up. Yeah.
So good job for CrossFit Centerville. And we talk a lot about coaching here, so hats off to Mitch, man. Great job.
They also sent a team.
Yeah. Then that's pretty amazing in itself too. So just the fact that he can be proud of the fact that he helped get those humans to perform at the right time, in the right place. Shout out, brother.
Absolutely. And I'm not taking my hats off the comp train for stepping all over that. That's ridiculous. First, the Brooke Wills crap. I don't care if Bergeron runs his Instagram or not. You don't do that. You don't take the credit away from the people who got her there. Yes, she's an athlete, and yes, she performed, and she has to perform to get there. But if she didn't have a coach, I promise you she would not perform as well as she did. I know that for a fact from experience and just the way it is. So don't think that just because you Misfits and whoever's out there with comp train, they don't make you. They may help you. They don't make who you are. I promise you that. Okay, your coach does. People who believe in you do. And yes, structured programming does help, but these people who they claim to be their athletes now all of a sudden because they did well, it's bullshit. Because what about the thousands that didn't make regionals? What about the thousands that finished like 6,000th in the Open, right, in their region? What about all those? Are they not claiming them? They're not their athletes now because they use the same service, right? There's more people who fail to even qualify in the top 1,000 that use that programming than go to regionals. So now they're saying that, it's the programming. Come on, bro. Right there, you just proved everything. If it was the programming, everybody would be comp train or Misfits. It's not true. It's not true. It's the athlete, their dedication, and their coach. Structure helps, but don't sit here and try to take credit for every person that does well and no credit for everybody who doesn't perform at a high level because, it must be them and what they're doing. It's not the program, because guess what? They're following the same stuff that they all followed leading up to the Open. They're following the same stuff that all through the Open. They're following the same stuff that they were doing the work up to regionals, but they did not make it. Now they're not a comp train athlete, and now they're not a Misfit athlete. Think about that next time you wear your purple shirt.
So like you said, with a templated training, that can be enough to help someone overcome that hurdle and make it into regionals. It's not necessarily just the fact that they're an athlete of X brand, because like I said, in my opinion, genetics have a huge role to play with it. Your ability to train has a huge role in it, because if I bought all that and I did it, I just know, and I'm being honest with myself, I'm not going to make it.
No,
I don't have the physical gifts. And I've seen these athletes perform on the floor. You and I have seen them, at eye level at regionals. I don't have that, and that's fine. But I could be a better version of me, but I don't need to spend all that extra money to do it.
No, and if you do, it's cool. I think if you have no options, just sort of like how we talked about the L1, there's times for both. But don't be those people inside a gym and inside a community that has decent programming or good programming and think that you're going to do Misfits or comp train because it's better, right? Because you see all these people that go to regionals that are their athlete. Don't believe in the hype. Believe in what you got there. And if it's good, it's good, regardless. And I'm going to say it's better for you because if they're doing a good job programming, they're going to be programming stuff that everybody sucks at in their gym because they see it every day like we do here. It's like my programming will work across the board for anybody across the United States if I sent my general programming. But it may not work the best for that gym because it's not made for that gym.
Exactly.
And that's just the reality of it because I don't know their athletes. Maybe they're already strong and they suck at conditioning, or maybe they are really good at conditioning, they suck at strength. They're going to get buried in my programming. Like they can't do what I'm doing in here. Like it's just fit. I'm going to put out my strength elements for the day for the workout, and nobody can do them at that gym.
Yeah, like you said before, it doesn't matter if you make all this programming if no one can do it.
It makes no sense. So yeah, my programming is structured enough. I could literally disperse it across the entire world. People would see great success with it, no doubt in my mind. Because it is structured, it is good, it's legitimate, but it may not be the best for them and what they need because maybe, they need to back it off and work on some certain things before they, right now we're in a 8-week block of snatching and cleaning off the blocks as an entire gym. We're going to do that for 16 weeks. We're running back-to-back cycles of it, and we'll do 3 cycles to get everybody caught up to speed. They'd be like, what the hell's a block? So they may not even know how to do it. So there's certain things that, I can incorporate into my gym that our people know how to do. Okay. And I
you
can
have the eyes on, you have the resources.
Yeah. And they may not. So whatever.
So for this week's call to action, why don't you send a picture to our Instagram account with that person that helps you get over the edge? That person that's helped you succeed, whether it be a coach or a family member, significant other. Let's see who those people are, and don't forget to tag your box with that.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, coaches never get recognition. I don't ever want it. Honestly, don't. I don't care about it. I don't care about what I get. But at the same time, when I do get it, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I do as well.
Yeah.
So that brings this week's episode to a close. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you're on Spotify, go ahead and subscribe there too. You can always use the juice.
Let's subscribe everywhere, Mo. Let's just subscribe everywhere. Guys, subscribe everywhere. And review
Stitcher,
us.
iHeartRadio. Send us those reviews. I'm Mo, and I'm out.
It's been a long time since I got a vent. It's pretty nice.
Thank you for listening to the One More Rep podcast. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at One More Rep Podcast, or on Twitter at Can I Get One More, or shoot us an email at canigetonmore@gmail.com.
You can try these.
Thank you.
Or both.
It's like when you cut carbs out of your life, it's amazing just how simple a plain chip tastes.
Cut carbs out?
I mean, I don't eat bread like 5 times a day like I used to. Like I restrict them, but before, like I couldn't eat chips with something drenched on them. Either like ranch or salsa or. It looked like a meatloaf.
It looked awesome.
It looked awesome, but that steak. So we just watched a video of I'd say a petite-looking, youngish.
She definitely wasn't fat.
No, female in England, I think. And
I guess you grew up eating steak
every day because she ate a 74-ounce steak in 18 minutes. And the steak, it was a good-looking cut, too.
Dude.
Like, I'm getting hungry thinking about it.
Here I am looking at beef jerky. It doesn't look the same.
7 ounces of beef jerky.